It's your host behind her boom podcast, Amber, coming to you with a very special guest today, Amanda Hill. She is an online incredible beauty influencer. She is with Seint Beauty, but she went from a brick and mortar business back in 2019 to completely diving into the online world. If we fast forward a few years later, she's got 100,000+ following on her social media. That's just Instagram alone. She is running a massive team when it comes to Seint Beauty, as well as Rimmon skincare line. And then she also curated her own line in 2022, which I want to dive into. Did you curate and trademark your own product? And welcome, Amanda, to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here with you guys today.
Thanks, everybody. It's your host, Amber here, MLM strategist and entrepreneur who has worked with thousands of network marketers and influencers and entrepreneurs in your space, helping to brand them, systemize them, and grow their downline on a global level. Creative director with AK Social House and your host of the Behind Her Boom podcast, providing you with proven, simple, and actionable steps to build your authority and your brand so you can stand out from those sideline sisters. Inspiring you with our special guest to think big and grow to 7 figures and beyond. Let's go.
Regarding the trademark, what I had put together was it's more of a makeup application than it is like being tailored to being a specific makeup product. It's more about the approach that we use when working on, mature skin is what I kind of focused on when I put it together. But it can really work for absolutely anybody. And it's more about the bare but better makeup look, the no makeup, just
Right.
kind of undetectable. Yeah.
And that's what you called it, an undetectable makeup. So what sort of came to your idea of, hey, like we need this on the marketplace. Like these women need this. Like you need to feel beautiful, but not feel and look like you're wearing a bunch of makeup.
Well, probably selfishly for myself, because, I feel like when I was in my 20s and my 30s, you really could do anything. You could wear anything and it worked fine. But I started to kind of hit that age where things just didn't quite fit. It didn't quite sit as well. Texture was showing, fine lines, things like that. And so I did what I feel like every woman does. And you're just like Pinterest searching, you're trying all the hacks, you're trying all the things, but nothing ever was really quite hitting the mark. So I kind of think I just then turned a little sciencey to kind of be like, well, what is the problem? What is it? And then because of that, and because I kind of started to recognize that we all have a lot of the same anatomy, and while we look different and we maybe get different things like Botox or treatments or things like that, inevitably the muscles kind of all worked the same. And so I think I just kind of stumbled onto being like, okay, well, if these muscles are all going to work this way and the creasing is going to happen, like what is it that we have to use to kind of counteract that? And then I focused on the type of products that would be a better fit on the different areas of our face versus just thinking oh, concealer is the answer for everybody. And it's really not.
Wow. Okay. So now that was just 2022. So it's still pretty new, like a baby company. Where do you sort of see this heading and, online, or are you going to turn this into like another network marketing company?
No, I have no plans of starting my own network marketing company. I think I'm just at that point where you're just like, I don't want to work that much. Like that's so much I want to bring on my plate. Like I'm kind of hitting that age where it's like, I want to just enjoy everything that I have. So it's kind of, I love educating. And I think I'm just going to be probably producing a master academy for women to be able to have the resources and the education to do their makeup at home and to feel really confident and comfortable to be able to achieve it. Because I think a lot of people just think I can't do it. I can't figure it out. And so I want those tools to be accessible from her phone, and her to be able to if she wants to get new product, if she wants to get things that I suggest, fabulous. But if she wants to use what she has and what she's already loving. She just has to look at her face a little bit different and where those products can be applied and be able to do that. So I just want that resource at home. So probably more the realm of like a master academy is the next thing on the agenda.
On the agenda. So speaking of the agenda, because you do run a pretty incredible team with your Saint business and also with Raymond, right? Am I saying that right, Raymond?
Yeah, you're
Yes,
saying that
okay.
right.
Perfect. And then also running or launching your own product. So I know with, when it comes to also on the network marketing side, you're not just offering the products, but you also have a team to run. So how are you finding sort of that balance in your life to give the focus to all these necessary places that's also maximizing your return, your revenue on that side, but also giving the support to your team where it's needed?
Yeah. I mean, I think that that can be tricky because I think as women, we kind of get in that cycle of like, I have to do and be everything for everyone all the time. And I think yeah, maybe I've just kind of hit an age to where I don't feel that pressure
Yeah.
anymore. And I think if you're confident in knowing that you're provided the tools that you need, like they're there, it's up to that woman to take those resources and use them. And that's not on you. Like I feel like that helps a lot with the work-life balance. But
Yeah.
of course, it takes time to like put those resources in place. But I feel like once you have done that and you're confident that you're like, here's what you need to get going, it's her job to take the rest of that and to run with it. And then if you're there and you're accessible and you want to be able to like help them when they're in those points, then I feel like that's really the easiest way to find the work life balance or team life balance, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think that's a great way to sort of look at it from that angle. And also looking at, your team and managing their expectations. I talked to a lot of influencers who, have a huge following, and then they bring on these team members who might be new to social media, or they just haven't, they haven't been there. So of course they kind of look and say, well, I can't do that, with my 500 followers, or how am I going to get there? So what kind of tips or guidance do you give them in terms of, because I mean, you were a brick and mortar company a couple of years ago, so you haven't been on social media forever. At what point did
No.
you see like a transition of, hey, I'm going all in, and then actually seeing your account and your community actually take off?
To grow. Well, I mean, I had a little bit of a social media presence just with owning the boutique, but not much at all. It's kind of just like that more local, like, oh, we're having a sale this weekend, that kind of thing.
Right.
But I kept that channel, and that's what I did grow it into to what it is today. But that happened when I started to see like in the boutique and salon, which is what I owned. I did a lot of makeup. Like I did the MUA stuff for customers that were looking, for weddings or events or things like that. And I just started to notice that everybody in the chair was kind of saying things as far as like, I wish I could do this at home. And so it was kind of like a teaching thing. So I just realized I liked teaching more than I liked doing it just that one-off time.
Yeah.
And so I started doing a little bit more teaching on social media. And it was around that time of like 2019, 2020, that's where I was doing a lot of the teaching and just kind of giving tips and tricks that were tangible for women to repeat and to do at home. And when I saw that and I knew that's what I really was passionate about, that's kind of where that takeoff happened to where I did focus solely on social media. And I will say at that time, TikTok was where I was doing the majority of my stuff, even though I still had an Instagram. But I feel like that's kind of flip flopped a little bit right now. But that's just the ebb and flow of social media. And you kind of have to be a little bit, able to flexibly move with that sort
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, I would agree to that too. And I mean, something can happen tomorrow, and all of a sudden everybody's on this whole new platform. Like, what's going to happen? What's going
Yeah.
down? So we need to be
And
ready for that.
I don't think that everybody has to be on every single channel by any means. But those two are kind of synonymous for being able to like you can rework the same content that you have produced somewhere and put it there. So, but some of them, require a little bit different approach. So I
Yeah.
don't feel like any woman has to be on every single channel by any means.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I think if you do, you put the time and effort into creating a reel, creating a really great piece of content, for the most part, you can repurpose it on TikTok or whatnot. But other platforms, you kind of have to change it around, tweak it a little bit, so that it is speaking to that community. What would you say for somebody who is sort of new and getting into that space? Where do they focus on? Because when I talk to a lot of these influencers, you guys kind of all say the same thing of, my account took off when I started teaching. My account took off when I started providing tips, not so much looking at it as this, hey, I have this opportunity and I want to share this business model with you, but it was more along the lines of, I'm obsessed with this product and I want to show other women how to do it. And I think that's the difference. Whereas a lot of these new people, they come on social media and say, okay, I have this business opportunity, I have these products, I need to show and share all of it. There's a sale and I got to share that and talk about that. And then it kind of just turns into this like grabby, like, what does she have today sort of thing, where instead I go to your page, it's like, okay, this is how I can do eyeshadow, this is how I can do my lipstick, this is how I can do my cheeks. And it's just do, and people can save that. Right. So what sort of advice do you give for these newbies getting on, and where should they focus on when it comes to their content strategy?
Yeah, okay. So I would say number one, pick the channel that you want to be on.
Right.
And I would say that that's probably the channel that you spend the most time on. So if you find that you're scrolling reels more than TikTok, then focus on Instagram, or vice versa, whichever it is. But I honestly, my account didn't take off just when I started educating and providing free content and free knowledge. It really took off when I sat down and I really honed in on who I wanted to serve, like who I was trying to actually help, and kind of the three pillars in which I wanted to create content. Because I think we can get sidetracked in being like, oh my gosh, I could do Amazon hauls or Walmart hauls. And the thing is like, that's not me. And
No.
while I see that that's like awesome for a lot of other women, it wasn't a fit for me. So I think you have to be really real with yourself and pick the three things that are the pillars of your account, and you're just like rinse and repeat
Yeah.
and find new ways to talk and teach about those three different pillars, and be really honed into on that. That doesn't mean that something can't change in the future, but it really was, that's when it took off for me, when it was like I was solid in what I was providing and who I wanted to connect with, and it was with these things that I wanted to connect with them on, and go from there. I will say though, like it does help a lot to, I call it controlled controversy. So if you're, like you never want to like offend anybody or go out to like hurt anybody, but having an unpopular opinion on something and be willing to stand your
Share.
ground and kind of just share it. Like I think that a controlled controversy does well when you are really working to grow your own account.
Yeah, I like that controlled controversy. I think I need to start rolling out some of that.
Yeah.
It's and actually that kind of leads me into maybe our next topic or next question, because you did mention that you're with two companies, right? So two network marketing companies, and I've had a conversation a lot about this of like, should I focus on one company? Should I focus on another? Should I do multiple things? Dipping our feet into multiple things. And I've always sort of given the advice of, if you've really nailed down a niche and you've sort of perfected that and you've become that go-to, that authority, that leader, that mentor in that one space, it makes sense to dive into other things. You've built that trust with your community. People love what you have. So if you're focusing on this one company and all of a sudden, you become a brand partnership with something else that is, relatable, or they kind of go together in parallel, then it makes sense, right? Versus if I'm just
Yeah.
focusing totally on skincare and all of a sudden I want to just promote these amazing necklaces, just because it's going to make me a couple bucks. It just kind of looks kind of funny, right? So
Yeah.
with you, you're focusing on two different network marketing companies. How do you have those conversations, with your downline or with new people on your team that say, oh, maybe I want to do that too. I want to focus in on another, but they haven't seen the revenue, like they haven't brought any new team people in, they haven't really gotten any sales, so they're not really doing anything with this one company. Should they go over and start focusing on another, or would you say no, like do something here, show that you can actually succeed in this first before diving in and putting energy into another opportunity?
Well, I think it just kind of depends, again, coming back to like what do you want to serve? Like what is it that you are wanting to help people with? And if
Yeah.
they're a good fit, if they are like something that works together on your channel, then I don't think that going in and having, two different sources that you are sharing and kind of continually promoting, is a bad thing. But I do, I think it is hard to grow a team if you're working in two different avenues. Like I will say, like I don't I don't really grow or promote too much as far as like team wise with the skincare company with Ryman, just because it does get a little complicated that way. That doesn't mean I won't help or like take anybody there, but I just don't do as much in that aspect. But I mean, it does come down to like in the end, like yeah, you're selling a product that you love as long as you love the product. I don't think anybody should just like willy-nilly sell anything.
Yeah.
I do think you should genuinely, authentically love it and personally use it to actually have that connection with people. But in the end, like any company could go away at any time.
Yeah.
And I just personally don't want to have like all my eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Um, I want to be able to know that I kind of have that connection and that resource to be okay if something were to happen with anything. I mean, we've seen it in the past. It's
Yeah.
just the world we live in, and that's what happens. Like things change.
Yeah.
So I think you do have to be smart in that way.
Yeah, I think like with what you're offering, everything is just it's so relatable, and they all kind of, need each other. They can all support each other. So it's they're all, what's the word I'm trying to say? Like not match, but they all kind of come together and make sense. There's a word and I'm like lost for my word. Who
Like
knew? Who knew?
synonymous, like they're all just synonymous together. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I'm having like a total brain fart of my word. So I'm just going to skip over that one. um, but I think that's great. I mean, I do see a lot of network marketers who want to dive into different companies and different products. And I would never like refrain away from that of saying, hey, don't jump into an opportunity that you don't love. But you're absolutely right with, you need to be obsessed over the product, because people can see right through that of,
Yeah.
obsessed over the product and passionate about the product versus like, just are you gonna buy my product? Can I get another sale? And people can see right through that. So you definitely need to be confident in that sense. What about looking at where you are today versus leaving your online boutique or your brick and mortar boutique back in 2019, and now building everything out online, and now with the new launch of your own line, where do you see sort of Amanda in like 5 years from now? Like what is your future goals? Are you sticking to online? Are you launching more of your own products? What's gonna happen?
I will definitely be sticking to online. I mean, barring
I
like
mean,
social
who
media
wouldn't?
doesn't go away forever. I mean, I don't think it will. I don't know that you can like predict as far as like what channels will still be here and
Right.
around, like I remember when TikTok came up into the world and it was like, what the heck?
Yeah. What is it? What
So
is
like those
this?
things happen. So you can't really predict that part of it, but I would really like I said, the launch of having an educational master academy is definitely the forefront for me. Um, I would like for that to be a really big central part of what I've worked to grow now, to kind of being more of the back end, because honestly, that's mine.
Yeah.
So if anything did ever go away, that's mine. And the makeup application that I did curate and build together, like I did it in a way that it didn't matter what makeup products you use in order to accomplish it. Certainly, I 100% believe that the Seint and the Demi products are superior. Like they just make it so easy and they're perfect, but I can do it with a million other brands. So no matter what product is on the market, I can still educate and teach the way that I teach and provide products for women to use in order to do that. And skincare is never going anywhere.
No.
Um, and before I joined this other brand, it wasn't like, to me, it wasn't a shock for any of my followers or viewers, because I've had such a solid stance on the type of SPFs and the type of things that I recommend.
Right.
Before that, before I picked this other company to link arms with. So it was a real seamless transition for them. So nobody was really quite shocked to be like, oh, she's added another network marketing company. Because, there is kind of that stigma,
Yeah.
that that industry is like hopping here and there. But if, like I said, if you're very solid in the way that your pillars are and what you're educating and providing, that seamless transition, regardless of whatever brand or company you worked with, will make sense. So I do think somebody could be doing makeup and they all of a sudden bring on jewelry. I think I see tons of women that have affiliates with like Amazon and Walmart and all these type of other companies, but those are part of their pillars. That is something that's very genuine to who she is, and so that works.
Yeah,
um
exactly. Yeah, I think if you have like the right systems in place and you're sending people to the right spots, the areas for them to learn about it, an Amazon storefront, for example, and then like you said, it's one of her pillars, so it's not just some random like here, this is what I have to offer. It's a consistent like this is what I love. These are my things. Shop my looks. It just makes sense.
yeah,
Complementary was the word that was like not coming into my head when I was trying to say
yeah,
between your skincare and your makeup, they're complementary to each other. So they don't, overstep each other. It's like you kind of need them both hand in hand to work well. So it's a nice compliment to have both brands actually working in line together. But and you're right in terms of the approach when it comes to the opportunity side of things, of if you are going to offer different companies or different products, pick the one that you enjoy the compensation plan the most, or maybe that you have dived into the most, for that to be the one that you focus the opportunity side of things, of building your team and mentoring and coaching and all those things. And then you
yeah,
can offer the others as just, these are products, these are my favorites, these are my must-haves, and you're sort of building out your brand, that way, and leading with value in that sense. So I think
yeah.
that's fantastic. So you have done over 10,000 color matches over the last few
Mhm.
years. So somebody might say, how in the heck is that possible, Amanda? I can't get one person to take my color match quiz.
I think that it's like they need to see you. And when I hear women say, like I said, I have a team. I've worked with all different kinds of their aspects. But when it comes down to it, like I would say when she's struggling that way, it's that she's not showing up,
Yeah.
and not showing up in a consistent way. And the thing is I don't think everybody has to do social media. I have plenty of women on my team that they like to host like a couple makeup parties every month, and they like that in-person stuff. I just know that for me, I can do like 20 color matches in the time it takes you to do one person in your seat. So it just kind of depends on what they really want out of their business as far as like how to run it. But if you're going to go online, if online is what you want to do, you have to have the consistency, but it's not just the consistency of like showing up and doing your makeup every single day. Like they need to like have little tangible tips and tricks. You need to be in those three pillars and like wash and repeat of what you're providing for that consistency to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that that's really the key to it. And I will probably butcher this, so you might have to cut this part out. But there's like a saying that's like, in 1 week you'll see it, or like it's, or in 3 weeks you'll feel it. Like, so it's kind of just like that consistency of like doing it over and over. Like I
Yeah.
said, that I totally butchered what that quote was,
No,
but
I
you
know
can look it up.
exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
and I know what you mean. And when you also said about the rinse and repeat, it's incredible because so many people be like, I'm running out of content. Like, I don't even know what to talk about anymore. But if you actually look at some of these top influencers and you don't just look at their first 10 posts, but actually go through their last like post from the last 6 to 9 months, they repeat everything. That's exactly what they
Always.
do. It's all repetitive. It's the same messaging. They pick their 3 pillars or their 5 pillars or whatever it is, and I remember going through this one. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I love her content. Oh, I wonder what else she's got to talk about. And I went through like from 6 months before. I'm like, hold on a second, she's saying the same thing. I just heard that before. And like literally that, and that's what they do because you're putting your piece of content out today for that viewer who's looking and scrolling today. And and then for tomorrow it's that next person. So whatever you posted last week or a month ago or 6 months ago, people have already looked at it, they thought about it, and then it's gone within like 30 seconds from their brain. So you do need that rinse and repeat so that it's something that's continuously actually sticking in their head, kind of like a follow-up, sending a
100%.
follow-up email. It's the same on social media. Kind
Yeah.
of look at it that way. I like the rinse and repeat game. Yeah.
I guarantee if you look at anybody's account that you're obsessed with and you have seen growth in, you're going to find the same 3 pillars that she uses. I'm sure you could identify them
Yeah.
and what she is kind of like doing over and over and over again. Like, one for me that is like my biggest probably pillar that I do is showing and talking about my makeup in my 30s and my makeup in my 40s and how they differ, and why what I did in my 30s isn't going to work in my 40s and beyond.
Right.
And that content pillar it's consistent on my channel. It's always going to be the one that like makes people go crazy. And I might have to change it, like
When you hit
from
50.
40s to 60s, like I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But that kind of thing is what you're going to see be the consistent part, and that is what grows it. Because it's not it you'll hear people all the time say like, oh, you just have to show up consistently, and that's not enough.
No.
That's not enough. You have to like show up consistently with what your content is.
Yeah.
Because if you just show up and you just throw something out there, maybe something might stick at some point, but not for the amount of work that you'll have put in.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come on here and share your story and share your journey. I love hearing when somebody has reached success in their network marketing business, but has also taken a different path. Like at some point, you chose a different angle. You weren't afraid. You just jumped in. And I think you're doing so incredibly well. And then on top of that, you've launched your own brand. And I think it's an amazing journey to watch. So I appreciate you coming on here and actually taking the time to share that with us and share some valuable tips on what you can do to grow, to remain consistent, to be authentic, to focus in on your team, but it's okay to share other products that you love and things like that. So where can people follow you, and where can people get access to your social media, but also to your own personal product that you launch as well?
So I'm the same on every single channel. It's Amanda Lee _Hill. So whether you go to TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, it's the same.
Perfect.
So you can find me there on any of those. And as far as the makeup application, the fusion method, which is what I educate, and that's what my trademark is in. I teach a ton of it on Instagram. And if you are on my profile there is a direct link to my Instagram page, which is going to be where I will be launching the academy. So it's in the works right now, and it should be soon, ish. I don't, it's a long process.
It is.
Getting the
Yeah.
trademark alone was a year process.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's done. That's behind me now. So now it's time to actually put the education into a way that you guys can like download it, have it right from your phone.
Amazing. Oh my goodness. Very excited for that. Everybody's going to want that, especially on their phone, to be like, yeah, this is exactly how I need to do my eyes, my lips, my everything, my contouring. I can't wait to
Yeah.
see what's in store for you, Amanda. And again, thank you so much. And guys who are listening, until next time, this is your host from Behind Her Boom podcast, Amber. Thanks so much. And we'll see you on the next show or hear you.
Thanks.